Hello, YouTubers. Joe Kersey here on Sunday, April 6, 2014 at 3:20 in the afternoon Eastern Daylight Time. Today basically is going to be another episode of Joe Goes to Church. But before we get into that, I will remark, although not show you, I will remark that tomorrow we're going to have a plumber come in and fix the toilet seal in the north bathroom and the kitchen sink that, leaks out the side of it all over the place, and you have to put rags around it and have stuff underneath the sink to catch leaks and keep the floor from rotting, And then fix the shut-off valve there in the south bathroom. So this fellow is supposed to show up about 9 o'clock tomorrow. So I rejoice in that. So after I got home from church, I thought, well, I gotta keep the level of disgusting down to a dull roar for this man. And I don't know, it might be a woman. I don't know. And so I took some Dawn dishwashing liquid and some paper towels and tried to, clean up the accumulated dust of probably somewhere upwards of let's see, I think that seal's been broken for about 6 years. And so I shut the water off. I just haven't used that toilet for 6 years, and I pumped it out. I pumped it out so it didn't have water in it. So, I don't know how all this fuzz gets in there. It's just, where's it come from? Fuzz? Dust, I understand dust, but fuzz? Well, anyway, I've bestirred myself and tidied it up enough so that at least he can access the site of the job without having to go through any horrible obstructions. Now I washed the dishes out of the sink, got the dishes out of the sink and washed them. It'll be easy enough to, there's only like five jugs of stuff underneath the sink tomorrow, so I can easily take those things out, in the morning. And I'm going to get him a 50-foot long 14-gauge extension cord that he can run off a dedicated outlet. I don't know if he'll have to use very many power tools or not. I doubt that he will, but maybe he will. If he does, he'll be all set. So now today, I went to the 8 o'clock church service, but before that, I stopped off at Walmart and got this month's offering for the People in Need organization. They were doing canned fruit again, except peaches. I guess they either have too many peaches, or for some reason they've decided that peaches are politically incorrect. I don't know, maybe some workers' union got screwed over by the peach growers or something. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, I expressed my feeling about canned fruit here a couple months back, in the sense that, if you're actually going to try to feed people and you want kids to eat stuff, don't. They're not going to eat canned fruit. Well, I suppose they will if they're hungry enough. We all know that if you're hungry enough, you'll eat pretty much anything. But they're trying to be health Nazis. This isn't going to work. So I decided I was going to try to buy some more soup. The actual full service soups, not the condensed soups. uh, with the idea that maybe, you can get some of these things with half the sodium in it from the other varieties. But Campbell's raised their price. I mean, they've gone from $1.50 to let's see, it was $1.98. So I'm not going to pay $1.98 for a can of that stuff. I'll pay $1.50 and have done so gladly, but I'm not going to pay $1.98. So I used the Walmart. I bought the Walmart Great Value brand, which wasn't all that great a value at $1.78, but 20 cents a can if you're buying 20 some cans of these things. That's $4, $5 difference. So more bang for your donating buck, I guess. So I bought some of these. I bought 23 cans of this soup, and various soups. And if they don't like it, tough, I know these guys. I know folks will eat this. So I went off to church and got there in time, obviously. Well, not obviously, but I got there in time. And 8 o'clock service. And Charles's sermon was, today's gospel was, well, of course, the Old Testament reading was this great, the Ezekiel 37, the valley of dry bones, and which reminds me, I need to look up a obscure reference to that later on at some point. The judge and I got talking about this just before the 10:30 service, before I was getting ready to leave, and he was going to do that reading, and I wish I could have heard him do that reading, but I had things, as I've told you, I had things I needed to get done at home, so. So the Valley of Dry Bones, which is a great favorite. And boy, Ezekiel was on some good stuff. I mean, this man was on some good stuff. Just reading the wheeled chariot throne of God passage in the very first chapter is enough to, any drug dealer today would love to know what Ezekiel was on. Now, admittedly, a lot of it was influenced by the Holy Ghost, but I think there may have been some other pharmaceutical help going on there as well, and not just in that one passage. I mean, throughout. It's a great book to read, guys. Sometimes it helps to read it with a beverage. Get in the right. You have to be in a sort of a compatible, complementary state of mind. Well, I digress. Anyway, so the gospel today was raising Lazarus from the dead. John 11. What a great tale. What a great account. What a great event. And see, I'm one of the ones that actually thinks that actually happened. See? I mean, basically I think that if it's written in the Gospels, and pretty much anywhere else in the Bible, you got to use a certain amount of common sense in some of the more oddball passages. But, essentially, if it's in the Gospels, it happened. This ain't an allegory. This happened. And it's great. Yeah, I mean, and of course, there's some great lines in there, as in, but Lord, he stinketh. I mean, that's one that doesn't get emphasized in the NRSV, but is made very clear in the AV. And then also, but what to get to the real point now. See, I finally am going to get to the real point. What Charles took as the point of departure for his sermon was the line wherein after Lazarus has come forth from the grave and he's still bound up in all the grave clothes and so forth. Jesus says, loose him and let him go. That's it. Loose him and let him go. That's in the AV. And he took that as a point of departure to talk about how the various gospel readings during this Lent, this year A in Lent, have emphasized people being set free from the bondage of sin and previous bad ways of living, unwise decision making, and that sort of thing. And of course, here's Lazarus. Now, that's the ultimate being set free from bondage, the bondage of death. So Charles did a very nice job on that. We had to listen to an analogy of some sort of movie that's being shown nowadays, current movie, and I think there was a TV show or two reference. But anyway, his main point was well done. Yeah, we got a bad poem. We got a bad poem there at one point. A bad poem counts as a prayer. Well, you got to take the good with the bad, don't you? So afterwards, we were going to have this little adult education session, or we were supposed to have this adult education session, but it turns out that I was the only adult that showed up for it. Well, that's not quite true. Carol showed up. I won't use her last name, but she's one of my very favorite individuals at church. She showed up about 20 minutes later. And then our deacon, Roseanne, showed up. She had showed up maybe 5 minutes earlier than Carol showed up. And Roseanne's been tied up down at the hospital with her father. Her grandson is dying, and it's very sad. But anyway, she showed up, and so we actually ended up having a little discussion of what passes for the Last Supper in John. Well, of course, there's no overt Last Supper in John. There's a farewell dinner, if you will, or a final dinner, a final meal. But it's not, it's not couched in terms of, take, eat, this is my body. Take, eat, take, drink, this is my blood. Because that actually happens in John 6. Excuse me. Toward the end of John 6, in which Jesus basically sounds as if he's advocating cannibalism. And as it says there, this was a hard saying, and after that many people left him. Of course, then he confronts the disciples that then became the apostles later on. What do you say? And Peter says, well, what can we do? You are the bread of life. You are. So it, and of course, this happens after, in the same chapter as the feeding of the 5,000. So that's a sort of a Eucharist equivalent in John, which was an interesting way to look at it. I mean, I'd never really quite I sort of cottoned onto that because that's the passage I think of every time I do the communion or take communion. But it was good to have it made explicit, have it explicitly stated. Meanwhile, before Carol and Roseanne showed up, Charles and I were folding inserts for the service bulletins. He said, "Do you want to go and talk about John?" I said, "Sure." He says, "I got to fold these." I said, "I'll help you." Well, that was a very good little interaction. And then of course, the my judge buddy showed up, and so I had to go. Obviously, I had to go shoot the breeze with him about some stuff, and um, he had seen my video about the plate, sort of thinking a guy into the ground, and he says, "Boy, that raises all sorts of legal issues." And then his wife, Sharon, was there. And Sharon was an operating room nurse for a number of years. And I said, "Now, Sharon," I said, if you just sort of step farther aside here, I can actually use Dr. Zollinger's, real language about some stuff. Because, God bless Dr. Zollinger. He magnificent man, but like a lot of surgeons, well, and indeed a lot of physicians, certainly physicians that are engaged in, how shall we say, the more acute life and death matters of medicine. He could be one of the most profane people on the planet. As can I, as was I. Although perhaps not so much now, but, at one point, it was pretty raw to be around me. And I sort of wanted to tell a couple of stories to my judge buddy about this, but I didn't want to, offend his wife. I mean, my word, I'm a sexist in that regard. I mean, you don't talk about this kind of stuff in front of women, You just don't. I mean, yeah, I know. Yes, I know there are a lot of women that can take it. Yes, and I'm not being patronizing to women, but my word, I mean, just come on, just don't do certain things. Nonetheless, she stood fast. I said, "Okay, well, I'll tell you the story." She took it very well. Well, she's an operating room nurse. Of course she's going to take it well. She's heard far worse. Well, I'm sure she has, although she's not told me she has, but I know that's just the way of the world. All right, now, so came home, and as I said, I tidied up, and now I think it's time for me to power down a bit and prepare for this onslaught tomorrow of finally fixing some problems. Well, I didn't do it 6 years ago because I didn't have the money to fix it 6 years ago. I do now. So I rejoice. Rejoice. All righty. Bye-bye, YouTubers.